All right, hello, friends and people of the internet. Thank you for checking out this episode of the 15-Minute BJ podcast. Today is a special edition because I'm on the road. I'm out in beautiful Murrieta, California, visiting my friend Keith Stickney of Tsunami Cables. Hello, Keith.
Hey, what's up, BJ? How's it going, buddy?
Doing very well. I'm very excited to have you on here because this is going to be more of like the technical side of music on this podcast. I'm very excited to get some information on how the cables are made and how the best cables in the world came to be. So before we get too into the nitty-gritty of it, just give a rundown of who you are. We got Keith is a family man first. He is a drummer, a musician,
Yep.
and a badass entrepreneur making the best cables that I've ever used. So we got a beep.
And we just got a message from Jason Mann. So there you
Jason
go.
Mann, another guest on this podcast. I think he was episode 2 and 3, so check him out.
Nice. Should probably change those settings so it doesn't happen again.
All right, we'll just let it beep. Whatever.
All right,
We'll
sounds
just assume we're cussing. Just
Yeah, right. There you
gives
go.
us that hard edge.
Absolutely. So, cool, man. So, yeah, what do you got for me?
I just want to know, like, how did this all come to be? How did you decide cables was where you were gonna follow your path?
Cool. Well, yeah, I started, I went to Musicians Institute, and I went to the drum program through the Musicians Institute. Graduated a little early from that because I kind of went in from doing marching band and all that kind of stuff, had a good amount of knowledge of the rudimental skills and all that kind of stuff. So was able to actually get done a little early with that program. And then, so I had some time basically to kill while I was there to finish out just kind of credits to be able to fill the degree. And one of my instructors suggested doing the audio engineer program. So jumped into that and loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was killer. I actually liked it a little bit better than the drum program, just because smaller class size, that kind of thing. Yeah, man, it was cool. And in doing the audio engineer program, there's a basic electronics class, and they teach you how to make cables, stuff like that, to make your own cable. And so that's where it started, was doing that. My roommate and I both made cables and sold them at the school for beer money and stuff along that line.
You got to support your habits.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we did that, and so yeah, it was really cool. It started out really well. Moved back home to San Diego, had my own little home studio, and had, basically did all my own cables and everything like that. And that's where it stemmed from, really. It was kind of through all of that stuff. Guys were coming in, recording, and wanted to know where they could get the cable that I was using. And I'm like, I make them. So then, well, how much, kind of thing. And so that's really where it's kind of started from. I was like, all right, there's obviously something here to it that people are interested in and wanted to be a part of. So that's, started making them and started selling them. And that was 10 years ago.
It's crazy how time flies, right?
It is.
Just kind of
It's
snowballed
really
into
nuts.
now you've got an office, you've
Right.
got your logo painted on a wall. This is amazing. Well, I'm really glad that
official.
you've made it this far, and I know
Thank
it's
you.
going to go a lot further. You were telling me earlier that you have a store or a distributor set up in Korea?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of different retail stores now. One in Korea, one in Chile. We've got one in the UK, one in Norway, and then we've got a couple of stores in the United States as well.
How
So
crazy
it's
does that feel?
It is. It's crazy, man.
I remember the first time I got a royalty check from some commercial in Bulgaria used one of my songs, and it was literally Bulgaria and like Argentina or something had used a song for like 15 cents.
Right.
But I got the check and I was like, people in Bulgaria know who I am now? Like, it's
Right.
insane. And
Yeah.
just to know that like you're in so many places, it's cool.
Right.
Do you get to go like visit those places when you set them up, or do you just kind of set them up some product and tell them like this is the plan?
Yeah, basically that's what it is. I mean, most retail stores have like a location, where they have all their strings, where they have their cables kind of set up, that kind of thing. I send them some pictures of like, this is how we set it up, that, that kind of idea. I wish sometime, soon it'd be cool, take the private plane out and go to,
Not even a private plane, just have them pay for that shit.
That would be cool
Like,
too.
I need
Yeah.
to come check the quality of my my equipment here, so
Right.
you need to pay for me to come out to Korea today.
Right. Yeah. That'd be badass. So, soon, hopefully.
I feel it coming.
Right. Right. So, but yeah, man. So that, and like I said, I mean, we just, from there, kind of expanded from the microphone cable thing, instrument cables, speaker cables. Now we're doing power cables. We do all the, anything like patch cable wise for like pedal boards and rack rigs and all that kind of stuff. So we pretty much do everything that a musician could need. besides digital cable. So like USB or Firewire, anything like that. That's the only thing that we don't do. Most of that takes like machinery and shit like that. So that's the only thing that we don't do. But yeah, man, that's pretty much where we're at. So.
And see, for me, one of the biggest selling points is that like you're made here in San Diego. You're a local. You're one of us, you know. And I love to support that. I like to support the community. And it's crazy that like there's so many people out there that just keep their head down when they're playing music. They'll just go buy the cheapest cable they can find or whatever, and you know they never really put the time in to realize that there's so much more in their music community than just music. There's people that make instruments, they make cables, they make all sorts of stuff, and we all need to support each other. So
absolutely,
it's really cool, and I'm glad that you've supported me too.
Oh yeah,
letting me use your cables, hooking me up, helping me out.
Absolutely,
I really enjoy the cables. Honestly, I've used a few different kinds, good and bad, you know, and they've all kind of failed to the test of time.
Right.
But I want to say I got my first cable from you like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. Close
and
to
it
4.
still looks like the day I got it.
Nice.
Just I think it's the wrapping that you put on it, and just you know the quality of the stuff that you're using to make it. It lasts, which is what sells me on it. And I take these things to like mixed mic nights, open mic nights, and share them with people, and they're always asking me like, first of all, they have a cool look. You know, they got the plastic cover, which is genius, and it sets them apart because people instantly see it. Like, well, he's got a lime green cable that glows when the lights come on.
Right,
like, that's dope.
Yeah.
But then they'll ask me about it, and I'll tell them the whole story. You know, you're San Diego based, you got this and this, and it always piques the interest. You know, and
absolutely,
it's cool that I get to help out in that way, where I get to go out and show people that, because I don't talk about things that I don't believe in. I've had people give me things, and I was like, this is crap. Right. But these, like, it was always just like from the moment I got it, like I wanted to share the story of like Tsunami Cables, because they're really awesome. So.
Thanks, man.
As far as how they get made, this is something that I'm very ignorant of. So maybe just like quickly for the ignoramuses out there, what is the process of making a cable, and what makes Tsunami Cables work so well? Because they do.
Right. Well, yeah. So most cables, they're kind of like this, and this was kind of where I went within the first few years. The company was like all R&D. So really, where I think our cable separates itself from everybody else is the strength and durability. So in the cable world, it's kind of like there's two lines of cable. There's like your maybe a little bit beefier but cheaper cable that you would take on the road and get beat up and that kind of thing. It's somewhat cheaper, so if it does go down, you're not out a lot of money. And then there's more of like the high-end cable that sounds really good but isn't as strong. It's something you're going to use in the studio, that kind of thing. They're a lot more expensive, so you wouldn't want to necessarily take them out on the road because, you know, you don't want to trash a $100 cable. So I kind of thought that was a little stupid, honestly. I thought that was kind of just a weird, conundrum of the way that the industry worked. So I decided to kind of make the bastard version of both, right? So like kind of combining both of them together. And so that's really where it was at. So we took high-end studio quality connectors, cabling, solder, all that kind of stuff that you would have for that high-end cable, but then we beef it up to handle the road and going out and just getting the crap beat out of it, and still, like you said, looking perfect after 4 years, of abuse.
I can attest to that. It does. And I use them both ways. I use them for shows, and I record with them, and there's never any like clicks or clacks or any buzzes, nothing. Right,
exactly, yeah. And that's really that's the goal. That's the overall goal for us is for you to be able to use that same instrument cable plugged into your console, your DAW, whatever, and then go straight out to, into your amp, into your live rig or whatever, and do a show with. So that's really that was the heart and soul of what we are. That's kind of the idea. And really a lot of that comes from the construction part of it, which is like what you're talking about. And, the biggest thing for us is, the layers of the construction. So when most cables are soldered, and then they have some kind of crimp device within the connector that basically clamps onto the cable when the body is like screwed onto the cable, the connector. And so, and that clamps onto the cable, and then basically that's what's holding on to it. But there's no real relief to where the solder point is. So where the cable is soldered to the connector, there's no like relief there. It's basically just everything's holding on to that one little point. So whenever cable gets yanked on or pulled, that's where it breaks. So what we've done is we basically have used through heat shrink and glue and some other things. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but that's the idea. But basically by doing that, we've able to use our outer jacket that has the coloring, the plastic outer jacket you were talking about, using that. and heat shrinking and gluing that to the cable itself. And then once the cable is soldered to the connector, then another piece of heat shrink and glue hold on from the cable to that. Then we have that crimping device that holds all that together, and then put the whole connector on. Then on top of all of that, we have the heat shrink that goes over the top with glue underneath it that has our name on it. So it looks cool, but it also holds the body of the connector to the cable itself. And so that really adds a lot of strength. So through all of those pieces, you basically get the strength and durability that really allows it to go out. I mean, I've got some other guys that have been using the cable slightly longer than you have that have like over 1,000 shows on their original set of cables. You know what I mean? It's just like crazy. You know,
that's what I'm hoping
unheard
for.
of. Yeah, you know, it's unheard of. And the thing is that's what you should expect, you know, buying a high-end product. You know, when you're buying it, you know, you're spending good money for good equipment, it should last. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be something that you're replacing every, 3 months to 6 months to a year. You know what I mean? It should last, you know, and obviously all of our cables have a lifetime warranty. So if something goes bad, you always just ship me back the cable and you get a brand new one shipped right back to you. So, so we have that just like a lot of other cable companies have, but
just don't ever lose that, because that used to be the big like appeal to Monster for me and all my garage band friends was always like, well, I'm going to go to a Guitar Center and I'll spend the extra dollars just to get the Monster cable, because if it breaks or fucks up, I can go bring it back. But now they have a rule where you can only do it once.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have to buy a whole new cable. It's like,
yeah.
But again, you'd probably be taking care of your stuff enough that you don't need to return it that often.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I knew a guy, I won't say his name, but I knew a guy that used to go to Guitar Center, and I think Guitar Center kind of got onto this, but they used to have these like old beat up bins that were like all the demo cables they had, like that they would use on the floor, and they were all trashed and beat up, and they were selling them for $2-3 a piece. Well, he would go through them and he would basically pull out all the Monster cables
and go return
buy them and like walk outside, turn right back around, walk back in and turn them in for brand new cables, and then go sell them on Craigslist, you know? And so he'd make like, $50-$60 off of Monster cables. It was not ideal, or the way it was planned, but it worked, you know?
Guerrilla entrepreneurship.
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, man, that was kind of the original. That's what he was doing. That's what everybody Monster started that kind of with the doing the lifetime warranty thing, whatever. And yeah, so I mean we've adopted it, and my perspective on the lifetime warranty is when you have a cable that doesn't come back, it's easy for me to do a lifetime warranty. Really, it is. I mean, that's how it is. That's how I look at it. I think a lot of other companies, their perspective is getting back to that store or getting them back in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, okay, the cable failed, so you got to come back in the store. When you return the cable, you're buying picks and you're buying something else and a strap, and then you're like, oh, look at that new pedal, and you buy something else. You walk out. You went in just to return a cable, and you walked out spending $150 on new gear. So that's kind of the store's idea. But like I said, for us, we don't have cables returned really. I mean, I can in all honesty, I can say I've had probably 10 cables returned in the last maybe 6 or 7 years, if that.
And it doesn't just show like confidence in your product. Like you can be confident of your product and put a lifetime warranty, but it also it just from an artist perspective, it shows respect to the artist of like, hey, you bought the cable, we'll support you in that way. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And for a lot of people, it's a lot of like musicians, especially up and comers, they're like worried about endorsements and this and that, and they don't realize that like sometimes even endorsement deals aren't that great. Like they don't take care of you as good as someone that like cares, and you can tell that definitely you and Tsunami Cables care about their people, and you have a large roster of musicians. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about that too. Okay. How did that? How do you handpick your musicians, and what can I do to make myself more appealing?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, really, the way for us the artist thing starts with we have an application online, so they can go to our website, tsunamicables.com. And then you can click under the family tab at the bottom of it, which has like all the list of all of our artists, stuff like that. At the very bottom, there's an application there. You click on it and just fill out the application, hit submit, and it sends it to us. That kind of gets the ball rolling. And we pretty much have like a level of, basically, different levels for pretty much every artist. I mean, anybody that's really, that's interested in being a musician and being like a solid out there player doing stuff, we have a level for you, and whether that's promotional support or whether that's financial, like taking like a discount of the product off or something like that. Obviously you've got to own the cables, you got to buy the cables, that's part of the endorsement. You got to use the product, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. And we have different, like I said, different levels for different artists that are doing different things. So if you're out, playing, over 300 shows a year, well, you have a different level than someone who's playing the local bar, twice a month, or whatever, so it's just a different, different venue. But, yeah, we have lots of different artists, all different makes, models of musicians. I mean, all different, categories, different genres.
You have dudes in big metal bands. And then you've got my buddies like Kel Bordell and Jake and like little folk people.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then all the way to, like rappers and to like DJs and, all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, we've got, quite the gamut of artists. I've always been a big component of that. I mean, being a musician myself, that's part of my thing is I want to support my musicians the way I would want to be supported, as a musician. So, I treat it very much that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why the family has grown as much as it has, is because people realize that. And, once they stay, I mean, we very rarely do we have, an artist come in and be a part of the family and then within a year leave. Like most of them are here to stay and they don't go anywhere,
If anything, it'd probably be more like a fizzle out than like a
fight
out,
right,
like, I gotta get out of this.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've had some other guys where we've had some guys that have jumped ship to larger companies, and it was very mutual because the other company was willing to give them more than what I could, and we're still a small company, and so when someone's, I look at it going, well, if that company's going to put you in magazines and do stuff and it's going to further your career, then go for it, man. Like, that's the way it should be. Like, I don't want to hold you back, go for it, go do your thing. So, yeah, man, I mean, that's kind of where we're at when it comes to the artist thing. And really, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's not much more to it. It's pretty simple. We don't do any contracts. There's no, like, you have to use the product for X amount of time or anything like that. It's pretty much you use it and we want you to be happy with it. And when you're not happy with it, don't use it and go on to something else. I mean, that's that simple.
I don't think there's probably ever been a case of not happy with it, though. Maybe like in the early days or whatever, but you've got this system so tuned down. It's cool. I got to come in and watch you do some cables today, which was really cool. I was telling you earlier that I'm shit at soldering, and just the amount of like tiny little like perfect solders you can do in such a short amount of time. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, the quality is definitely there, and I've seen it now from the inside. I got to see the sausage get made.
There you go.
Which is cool. And I now know exactly why the cables are so strong and can like put up with being jammed in my backpack for you know, gigs and gigs and gigs and gigs, and they just keep on kicking. So I like that. That's really awesome.
Very cool.
All right, before we get out of here though, I want to do a little bit of music talk.
Okay.
So you're a drummer by trade.
Yep.
But you also play bass?
I'm learning bass. I would not say I'm a bass player by any stretch of the means. I know too many really good ones. But no, I'm a drummer, to the heart. And I would like to say percussionist because I do know how to read music. But,
one of those freaks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I just love it. I mean, I love music in general. And I come from, a little bit of a musical family. My dad was a musician and my mom loved music, was constantly playing music in the house all the time. So, but yeah, man, I mean, I love playing drums, any and every style. I mean, I'm more of a rock drummer than say a jazz drummer or something like that. But, yeah, I love it. Can't stay away from it. So,
all right. I know this is a hard question and it's something that, when you get put on the spot, it makes you think even harder about it. So try not to think too much.
Okay.
But, if you could give me top 3 bands, go.
Top 3 bands. Holy shit. All right. I'm going to go with Frank Zappa.
Nice.
Man, that's hard. Of course, they're all bands I've never really seen in person because most of them are dead.
Yeah. Well, then that's just proof. We need to start making more good music out there, people.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, let's go Frank Zappa. Let's go Rush, which even though they're still around and thank God none of them are dead yet, I have not seen yet. So I got to try to – I don't know if they're going to be out.
As a percussionist, you got to like Rush.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of a mandatory thing.
It's in the drummer's Bible.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. And man, who else? I love just like musicians and like stuff they do together, different individual albums, stuff like that. So as a full band, I probably would say Cream, to be honest with you. It's kind of like yeah, Cream or Zeppelin. I mean, they're kind of like right there, you know. So there's 4 for you: Cream and Zeppelin. How about
all right,
that?
So we got a bonus one.
Yeah, you got a bonus one.
Bonus Cream.
Yeah, on the BJ podcast,
there
bonus
go,
Cream is always good.
Yeah, that might be a segment coming up here soon.
I love it, man. Awesome.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Keith.
Absolutely.
Thank you for doing this. Thank
No
you for
worries.
having me in the HQ up here. I hope you come back soon.
Absolutely,
And
man.
for all you people out there listening, make
Always
sure to
welcome.
check out Tsunami Cables. Check out Keith and his music projects. He plays with my buddy J-Man. He's
Absolutely.
another guest of this podcast,
Yep.
so got to keep supporting that. And
Absolutely.
they're all just good people, so check them out. And before we go, just tell people again the website, the links, where they can find it, what maybe promotions, whatever you got going on.
Yeah.
Any plugs you got, this is your chance.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, tsunamicables.com, TSUNAMICABLES. And that's pretty much same thing for everything. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, for everything, any social media you could possibly think of. We're starting our own podcast here soon, so keep an eye out for that. We're doing a lot of stuff coming up here on YouTube and all that junk. So the website, stay tuned to all that stuff. And you can also, if you go to our website, on the homepage, there's actually a spot where you can actually sign up for our newsletter. And we send out lots of discounts and promo codes and things like that through the newsletter. That comes out.
I get that.
Every week, every 2 weeks, we're sending out a new one. So yeah, so sign up for that. It's real simple email. We don't sell your emails or pawn them off on anybody or anything like that. So, but yeah, that's basically where it's at. TsunamiCables.com.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Tsunami Cables worldwide. Thank you, Keith.
Awesome, thanks, man.
And since this was a traveling podcast, I don't have the opportunity to play a live song for you guys. So at the end of this episode, I'm going to throw on an old Add the Color track. This is one of my old punk bands where I used to play bass.
Nice.
And we could have definitely benefited from using some Tsunami Cables in the recording process. So don't let that be a reflection of these amazing cables. But thank you guys for listening. Check out the next episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and check out Tsunami Cables.
Control. I know you're scared.